Hi everyone, how's it going? Sorry, let me just this is my first this is this is very strange to me. I'm just I'm just doing it on my laptop instead of my phone because the sound quality on my phone is ridiculously bad. So I just thought I'd do it on my laptop instead whilst it's still working because sometimes it ain't. How how is everyone doing? Um I'm surviving. I'm just doing the best that I can. I'm still being attacked at night electronically, but for some reason I'm not feeling it as much at night as I did. Those lumps that I feel like up here and up here and all that, um, the lumps seem to be lessening. So at the moment, it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. But the thing about embolisms and clots is like they're ticking time bombs. So I never assume that I'm out of the woods just because like it's lessened. But it has lessened for now. I don't have as much pain during the night as I did originally. Like that seems to have died down. But again, when it comes to clot and embolisms, you cannot think that you're out of the woods because you just don't know. You just never know. And given what's been happening in the last 4 years, clots have been on the increase anyway. Even if you know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. So health wise, I'm not doing too badly. Um, Doing okay. Not nothing too bad. Nothing to write home about. But it's just mostly a campaign to get me out of the flat. Oh, just talking about this is boring. Okay, so there's this campaign to try to get me out of the flat and everything, and I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna be cocky about this, all right? I'm not gonna be cocky about this and pretend that at some point the perps would want me to move on to a new location or to a new targeted hub, okay? I'm not going to pretend that they wouldn't want me to move to a new experimental facility posing as a neighborhood, okay? I'm not going to pretend like that's not the case. They could easily do that. They would easily do that. But this is the thing, right? There is literally so much stacked up against the gang stalkers at that point. First of all, moving somebody like me from place to place, it's just not the same anymore. The money isn't there and the paperwork isn't there. First off, the perps that are trying to get me to move out of the flat, they can't move out themselves. That's one of the reasons why they wanted me out. They wanted me out before that anyway. Don't get it twisted because, when you're dealing with racists, and particular racists who are white, you get that entitlement, you feel me? So they wanted me out long before they found out that they couldn't move or that they wouldn't get any help to move. So that's the first thing. That's the reason why they're particularly invested in getting me out, because they can't move because of their fuck ups. They can't move. So they want me to move because they know that because I haven't fucked up as much as them, and because I know how to argue my case as a targeted individual, and I know how to make everybody suffer if I don't get what I want as a targeted individual, they know I can do that. So if I wanted to move right now, I could make it very, very difficult for people who don't want to give me what I want. I could make it very, very difficult for them. But the perps are caught in between a rock and a hard place because they're not getting any help to move. The police will not help them with regards to coming in and arresting me for something, because the last time I made threats to those people, and I can say this because targeted individual, what the fuck are they gonna do? I said this, the last time I actually threatened those people was, it was nearly 2 years ago. That's the last time I actually made threats of that nature to those people. Like, other than that, it's just been me being like, I'd rather be dead than share a planet with these people. Like, literally, like whenever I've been feeling low, and even then, that was before my mother died. It was like I'd literally rather be dead than share a planet with these people. So they're trying to get results out of me from almost 2 years back that don't apply anymore, because I'm focused on Empress Justice Tarot and Empress Justice Daily, and also because of the transition of power that's happening right now. I'm thinking about how badly vulnerable people as a whole are going to be affected, and especially TI. So there are bigger things for me to worry about rather than whether or not somebody's trying to get me out of a flat. Don't get me wrong, moving is very stressful. It's very stressful. There's a lot to sort out. But like I got bigger problems. I've got bigger problems. And yeah, it's just one of those things where I cannot give my emotional investment to a boring campaign revolved around illusion. Because ask any of my older neighbors, right? They've managed to get me out and they're happier for it. But then because of them and their actions towards me, because of what they've helped to be a part of, everything in the neighborhood's going to shit. There's always a cost. There's always a cost to feeling superior to someone else. There's always a cost. Even I found that out multiple times. There's always a fucking cost. Do you understand what I mean? And the fact that I'm not getting revenge on people, truth be told, it means that as evil as they've tried to make me out to be, I'm not actually that evil. Because if I really was that evil, you'd have been out of the picture long ago. You'd have been out of the picture. You'd have had your lives destroyed for what you did to me. And I would have easily made that happen. But because I'm not as evil as you, I don't have the means, I don't have the motivation, and I'm not as perfected in cruelty as my enemies are. Because I don't have that, when they do get their karma, it's not going to be me that gives it to them. It's going to be someone else. And honestly, that's worse. That's worse. That's worse than me it's a lot worse than me getting back at them. So for the fact that they're trying to make me out to be this villain, everything speaks for itself. Everything speaks for itself. So the fact that they're trying to make me into this villain to try to get me out of the flat, it's just ludicrous. It's laughable. The irony is that if they'd have been a bit nicer to me, if they'd have been actually humble and not racist and not mad, if they'd have been any of those things, any of the neighbours here, if they hadn't have done what they've done to me, if they hadn't have been so unkind and so cruel and so petty, we could have helped each other out. You really wanted me out, we could have had a conversation. I could have said, look, it's the same thing with every home. I could have sat down with the neighbours and said, look, I don't want to live with you. You don't want to live with me. What are we going to do about this situation? How are we going to get me out? We could have had a conversation. We could have worked something out. We could have formed a plan together to get me out of here, so that you didn't have to worry about black people anymore. We could have had a conversation. We could have sat down and discussed it. But no, you want to play Billy Big Bollocks. You want to be stupid and you want to be petty. So it just goes to show that all these people, they just write their own ticket. It did not have to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. They could have got me out long ago. They could have got me out in November. They could have said, look, we don't like you. We don't like black people. We don't like immigrants. So you don't like us either because we're racist cunts, right? What are we going to do to make sure that we can both get what we want out of this? You could have solved this way back in 2020. Is it 2021 or 2022? Way back in 2021, you could have sorted this out. But no, you want to play Billy Big Bollocks. Because the thing you fail to understand is that if you wanted me out, I would have been out. That's the fucking truth. If you wanted me out, I would have been out. That's not what you're here for. As perpetrators of gang stalking, you are not here to get me out of anywhere. It is not within your power to do that. That's the truth of the situation. And you trying to get threats in the mix, like, Come on, man. The amount of people that amount of gang stalkers that I've threatened in my time, and there is evidence of their narcissistic abuse. You're not going to win against me. You're just not. And you were never there. You were never in this place to get me out of the flat. That's not what you were here for. The only reason you're here is the only reason why every perp is present is to fuck up the community and keep it fucked up so that the property prices can be low enough for rich people to buy on sale. And that is your only purpose for being here. That is your only purpose to be a perpetrator. You're not here to bring justice against people that you think are deviants and criminals. You're not here to purify the country of darkies. You're not here to do any of that shit. You are here to fuck up the community and keep it fucked up so that richer people can buy property on the low. That is your purpose. That is your purpose. That's your only purpose. Apart from genocide, that is your only fucking purpose. And even then, you're part of that fucking genocide. Let's be all the way fucking real. That's the only reason you're here. That's your only job. To fuck up the community and keep it fucked up. And as for the business owners around here, or people who are running the business, if you're not a white property owner, they're not trying to see you. Maybe Pakistani, maybe Indian, Chinese, probably. But they're not trying to see you advance in this country. They're not trying to see that. They're not trying to see that. You're here to fuck up the community, keep it fucked up for gentrification and for genocide. But that's another conversation. That's what you're here for. And that genocide doesn't just involve immigrants and black people and all the people that you don't like. It also involves white people. It also involves Asian people. It also involves Latin people. That's what you're here for. You're not here to get me out of anywhere. You're not here to get me out of anywhere. In fact, the whole reason why they want you, or they want perps, to get me to threaten them is not so that I can get out of the flat. It's so that I can be in their mental health system. They want me back in the mental health system. And the reason why they want me back in the mental health system is so that I can be more easily controlled, is so that they can run tests to find out how their radiation torture is doing. They want me back into hospital to assess how the torture is going. And to see if they can inject any more nanobots into my body. That's what they're there for. They're not there for anything else. It's not to get me to move out of anywhere. It's simply to assess the progress of the torture. It's simply to assess the progress of the case. Because as soon as they move me out or move me into a mental health hospital, they can't just chuck my things out on the street. It make the local news. They can't just do that. So whilst I'm in hospital, you might be able to run up and down in here, but you're not going to be able to get me to move out. I'd have to move all my stuff out of here. So it doesn't work like that. Especially if I haven't done anything to you and there's evidence all over social media of what you've done. That's not what you're here for. And do you understand the amount of people that cannot afford to move out? Do you understand the amount of private landlords that cannot afford to lose tenants because of how bad things are in the economy? They can't afford to lose tenants. They don't want anybody moving. Maybe the people around here want you gone. I mean, they might not like me, but they definitely want you gone. But they can't even get rid of you. They can't even get rid of you up there. They can't even get rid of you. Because at the end of the day, there just isn't the money. The money isn't there, and it's only going to get worse. So where the fuck do you think you're going to move me to? Again, you're not there to move me out of anywhere. This is the thing that they do with perps all the time. They inflate the importance of the perpetrators. The truth is that targeted individuals are more valuable to this program than the perpetrators. The perpetrators have already been turned, they've already been compromised, and there are more people who qualify as perps than there are people who qualify as TIs. As rare as people with genuine antisocial personality disorders are, as rare as they are, people like me are even rarer. We are where the value is, not in the gang stalkers. We are where the value is. Us. They don't even want us dying off early. They don't even want us dying that early. They want genocide, yes. They want genocide, but they want it to be slow kill torture so that nobody asks questions. Well, we're worth, in our case, right? The mad thing is that we're actually worth more alive than dead. We're worth more alive than dead. We're worth more with a home than without one. If we don't have a home, then where are you going to break into and steal? I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. It's just like you're just not thinking. You're just not thinking. You're just not thinking. Like, you know, it's amazing how much these perps don't think. Think of the paperwork. The amount of paperwork that had to be managed and navigated from my move from London to Brighton. Every time I move, it's more paperwork, it's more expense. And MI5 ain't got it like that. Austerity, remember? Even black operations don't have the fucking money like that. Because the reserve currency is about to change. They don't have it. Dumb. Dumb. That's what I'm saying. Dumb. And, you know, oh, no, I can't even be bothered to go into all the directed conversations and all the... It's just boring. It's boring shit. Oh, we know everything. Yeah, and? You've been knowing everything and you've still been failures. What is there left to talk about? I'm done. Let me get on with this reading, y'all. I've got a reading to do today, so... Is there anything else I need to talk about before I go? I swear there's something else I need to talk about. I want to get it out of the way before this light goes off because it only lasts for about 40 minutes. And I don't know how long I've been online. So for 18 minutes. Is that it? 18 minutes. So I think like a lot of my information has been garbled. Again, I'm getting a lot of attacks in my head, so my sentences are not, they're either disjointed or, you know, the information is kind of jumbled. But I think you understand like the crux of what I'm saying here. These people are trying to, I addressed the perps for a good chunk of the video. I'm going to address the TIs and everybody else now. For a good chunk of the video, I've been talking about the perps trying to get me to move out of this place through directed conversation, through open harassment, because they've been harassing me from outside and from upstairs, through noise pollution. So they've been trying to, you know, again, they've been trying to get me out of the flat. And it's just like I explained before, what they do is they try to copy what you do and then change something. So that's what they've been doing. They've been copying the way that I sing. They sound awful, predictably. They've been copying the way that I sing. They've been trying to attack my singing. Like, it's boring. It's nothing new. And then on top of that, there was one time where there was direct conversation on the phone saying, we know everything. I'm like, yeah, I know. that you know everything, you're also a fucking failure knowing everything. And that's not aimed at the perps, it's aimed at the people behind the perps. They're fucking failures. And they're keeping this going to prove that they're not failing. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're keeping this going to prove that I'm not failing. Current rate frame is too low. Okay. Let's see. What is going on here? Yeah, so the thing is too low. Let me see if I can change the settings. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. So hold on. Okay, maybe latency. Change the latency. Okay. Yeah. So let me see. Okay. So yeah, what was I saying? Hang on. Closed unused applications. I don't know what applications are being used. Anyway, let me just continue. So they've been trying to get me out of the flat, and they've been using a variety of tactics, attacking my singing, attacking, again, they copy what you do and then change something. That's basically what they've been doing to try to get a rise out of me. And, it's other neighbours as well. It's just the other neighbours don't do it as much. It's mainly them because they're the scapegoats, because they're stupid and they can't control themselves. They're the scapegoats for everybody else around here, because it's not just them that's actually gang stalking me. But yeah, they've been trying to get me out of the flat by harassing me. And what I've been explaining is how it's a fool's game ultimately, because nobody can afford to lose tenants. Like, for even a couple of months, nobody can afford to lose tenants. Nobody can afford to lose the rent. Really, what it's about is trying to get me into mental health hospital so they can monitor the progress of the torture. And they can try to re-torture me all over again by giving me psychiatric medications that I don't need. So they will make sure that I don't get the psychiatric medications that I do need, but they'll try their damnedest to make sure I get the medications that I don't need. And the whole trying to get a rise out of me thing so that I threaten people and all that stuff, like, that's basically what that's about. But what I was explaining was the expense that goes into moving each target. There are thousands of targets in this country, if not tens of thousands. It's incredibly expensive to keep moving everyone. It's incredibly expensive for the gang stalkers, not the perps, but the people behind the perps. It's incredibly expensive for them to keep moving everybody, to keep funding controlled opposition, to keep, it's incredibly expensive to keep all of this going. It costs money, and the reserve currency is about to change. All of this is really expensive, like the experimentation into weaponry, the insurance, because we're all insured. Like, all test subjects are insured. All test subjects are insured. But when we die too early, the insurance company loses money when we die too early. So that's why they keep us alive for as long as they do. So there's the money that they would have to take out of trusts in our name, there's the money they'd have to take out prematurely to fund our moves. There's the paperwork that goes into it. There's there's the whole process of having to find new recruits for this shit. And even though there are more willing people, the money is scarce. So, it's likely that the quality of the perps will go down. There are so many things to consider in just moving one targeted individual from one place to another. There's so much to consider, let alone moving tens of thousands of targets in this country potentially. It might even be hundreds of thousands, who knows? But there's a cost to it. There's keeping us on benefits funding our housing, essentially, moving us. All of this stuff is fucking expensive. And at the end of the day, we're worth more to them alive than dead, because they have to check the progress of their technology. We're worth more to them alive than dead, way more. Do you understand what I mean? So, it's just, this whole thing about moving me. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm not saying that they won't move me at some point. They will. They'll find a way to do it. But it's so fucking expensive to do. And there's so much involved. There's so many new recruits that they have to find. It's just wild. And then they gotta make sure that they can get my location all over again. The technology, the satellites have to track me, get my location all over again. Realign the weaponry so that they can find me. And they have to do that with every target that they fucking move. Again, that's not what the gang stalkers are here for. That's not what the perps are here for. They're here to induce stress, to make us easy for the electronic weapons to find. And they're here to fuck up the community so that the rich people can get properties on the low. That's what they're here for. They're not here for anything else. So this whole thing, let's get her to move on, let's be racist so we can get her to threaten. You're stupid. You're stupid. And they know you're stupid. You think the people who hired you don't know you're dumb? They fucking know. They hire people like you for a reason. I said that superiority complex is a bitch. Because without that, they wouldn't have been able to hire you. You need to feel better than someone else in order to compensate for your own inadequacy. They need you to feel better about yourself so that you can make up for your own inadequacies. That's the reason why you're fucking there. Who can we use that is utterly delusional? Who can we use that is utterly stupid? Who can we use that desperately need to feel better than another person and desperately need the chance to be an asshole to somebody? Who can we use? Who can we use that we know are not going to read the files? Who we know are not going to pay attention to what's going on? Who can we use? Every single time. It's every single time. Especially the perps in close proximity. They make sure to use the dumb ones. They're not going to use you. You're not going to spend time studying. You're not going to spend time researching. You're not going to spend time looking anything up. You're just going to be spending time watching my videos and talking shit. That's what you're going to be doing. Now I'm trying to remember what I'm staying on this video for. I'm trying to remember what I'm staying on this video for. I tried to summarize it, but then it just devolved into another rant, honestly. Yeah, trying to get me out of the flat, too expensive, stupid. What else? I'm gonna get my reading done for the last quarter moon in Shatabisha. I've got that reading coming. I've also got another event at Black Brighton Market. So if you're a TI and a Brightonian, come along. We need more TIs up in this bitch, especially black TIs. What else? Got a pick a card coming up on the 1st. And yeah, the Mother of Dragons comment is coming around again. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's so much going on right now, and I feel like I wrote this on a Facebook status, right? I really feel that 2024 is not the year of truth that we think it is. I actually touched on this yesterday at length. but I wanted to talk about it on video because I feel like it's important. Ultimately, what it's about, what this whole society is about at its core, is it's about predators competing with predators. And those predators, at the core of everything, they are largely white, they are largely male, largely patriarchal, largely cisgendered, largely straight or straight passing. And I mean straight in the sense that, you know, they marry women for wealth, you know, and then they fuck around on the side. That's what I mean by straight. Okay. So it's really predators of bloodlines going back to the Middle Ages, fighting with one another and competing with one another for power. That's what's at the root of this. And what you will see, like on a level kind of above that, are like it's like a hierarchy. It's like, no, it's like straight white patriarchal, like right here. And then on top of that, you've got this political war between masculine and feminine. The masculine is like, or Edwardian, it's like homogenized. There's an emphasis on sports, there's an emphasis on competition, there's an emphasis on everybody looking the same, everybody competing to be a Nazi ideal, basically. So that's the Edwardian. Georgian is like more femme-centered, even more matriarchal-centered. It's where you get queer folk, it's where you get, you know, people of color, black folk. So it's like, you know, even though they don't operate in strict binaries or in monoliths, that's what we're working with here. So what we have is a political ideal that favors diversity, and we have a political ideal that favors homogeny, right? Homogeny is closer to the core than this is, right? So what we're witnessing is the diverse quotient who have been used to helm a sinking ship. That is the current Rome, that is the Five Eyes. They've been used to helm a sinking ship. So as it stands, they are being blamed for the downfall of society. When people talked about the New World Order, they thought that New World Order would be black, female, and queer, essentially. But what it actually is white, straight, and male. You see? We have predators on both sides of the curtain. And it's the predators who have the most power in both respects. And what happens is that each movement begins with some well-meaning, honest people with integrity. When it came to the diverse quotient, it started with well-meaning people like Martin Luther King, Harvey Milk, started with Marsha P. Johnson, started with all these people who wanted genuine change, who genuinely wanted change in the world, who were good people. James Baldwin was another one. It started with people who were non-violent, essentially, even if they felt violent in their heart. We never knew it because they exercised it in non-violence. We had all these non-violent people who led the charge in recent times, and they were the Trojan horse through which predators like Clive Davis, like Sean Combs, even like Jay-Z, like they were the, you know, the honest people were the ones who made way for predators of the same demographics to come through and attain success. Now the same thing is happening here with the more patriarchal political ideals, right? We've got people who are closer to the patriarchal ideal in every community, and these people, just like the people who entered the diverse area with us, they were honest. They are honest. They have integrity. They are reasonable people. Those reasonable people are the Trojan horses for predators of the new superpowers and predators of the new political leaning to move in. So it doesn't matter what political alignment you have, there's always a Trojan horse the Trojan horse is the decent person. It's the person with integrity. It's the person that wants fairness. It's the person that wants authenticity. They are always the Trojan horse. It doesn't matter what the political alignment is. They are always the Trojan horse. And the real person who is going to be leading us, the real people in power, are always predators. They are always predators. And we don't see that because, again, that superiority complex is a bitch. We always want to feel better than the next person. So neither side would ever admit what I'm about to tell you. They would never admit what I'm telling you. And the reason why this is important, the reason why this has been on my mind so much, is because usually when there's a transition of power, it's usually the first people that are usually end up on the chopping block are the ones who are the most vulnerable in the old world, the most vulnerable of the old world. They're usually the first to go. Also, it's the people who spoke up against the old government that are the first ones to go. They always get rid of those people because we're outspoken. We're outspoken against our own governments. So if we're outspoken against our own governments and we're taking them to task, imagine when the new powers come in. We might speak out against them if they act up and get out of line. So they got to get rid of us. So you've got vulnerable people and people who speak out against injustice that are likely to be the ones that are most vulnerable in this equation. And unfortunately, that does involve a lot of diverse people, but it also involves people who aren't so diverse. Again, anyone who's an enemy to the state now is an enemy to the state tomorrow, and that's exactly how we're going to be treated. So it does make me really, really fearful for vulnerable people in this country, and especially those who are diverse. It makes me really worried for them because I understand how dictatorship works and how power works. You can't keep the old enemies on board if you're going to overthrow your old enemies. You can't keep the enemies of your enemies there. You've got to get rid of them. You've got to get rid of the smaller enemies first before you get rid of the bigger ones. So that's what makes me really worried for vulnerable people. That's what makes me really worried that, you know, if we start speaking out the truth now, I worry about those who speak the truth. I worry that they did the same thing that Martin Luther King later realized that he did, and walked people into a burning house. It doesn't matter what political leaning that you're for, segregation, integration, straight, gay, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you don't keep the predatory elements of our society in check, you will always be leading people into a burning house. And that's exactly what's happening now. And it's going to be the vulnerable people that are first on the chopping block. It's going to be people like us who saw what was going on the whole time that are going to be on the chopping block. We're already dying out, dropping like flies. I mean, the perps are too. The perps are too. Let's not get it twisted. But with the new world comes new problems. Because you see, the people who are doing this to us, they will suffer and they will die. But it's not going to be at our hands because we are not evil on the same level as them. If they ever suffer and they ever die in the same way that they did us, it's not going to be us that's going to be doing it. It's going to be someone else, a bigger evil than them. And that bigger evil will not be on our side. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So we need to protect ourselves. We need to make sure that we are protected, make sure that our health is taken care of, even though I'm one to fucking talk. We need to make sure that we're protected, that our health is taken care of, that we take care of as much as possible. And we also need to prepare for our deaths as well. We need to start thinking in terms of resources and strategy, and stop thinking in terms of, oh, we got to get back at these people. We're not evil enough to do that, and we don't have the means. We need to think defensively. That's what we need to be doing. We need to think defensively. And now I gotta go. I think I've said too much, but now I gotta go. So peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. And if you made it to the end of the video, Let me know how you guys are doing. All right. Peace and blessings. I love you. Bye bye, my darlings. Oop. What am I doing? I keep thinking it's my phone, so I'm trying to press the screen, but nah. This is how I end it. And here.